This is the final part of this chapter that's basically an introduction. And we're going to be dealing with the variances associated with the factory overhead. As we learned in an earlier chapter, the factory overhead is composed of two components, one being fixed, one being variable. Fixed factory overhead and variable factory overhead. First, we're going to look at the analysis of the fixed factory overhead. Okay, and that's called the volume difference. And this is a clip out of your text. What I like to do is I do a little different comparison. And that is, let's use this classroom. Let's say, for instance, they pay me $100 per class to teach. It's a fixed cost now per class, all right, $100. And if I have 50 chairs in here, then what's the cost per chair? We can easily just take the $100, divided by the 50 chairs, and we get $2 per chair. So that's what my standard or planned rate is per chair. All right? Now my variance is going to be based on the volume. So I look at this classroom and I have 50 chairs. I count the empty chairs. I have 12 empty chairs in here today. So my volume variance would be 12 empty. I'm not using 12 chairs. So I can take the 12 empty chairs, multiply by that rate of $2 that we had, and I would have a $24 unfavorable, because I'm not using it all, volume variance. In this chapter, we are going to have almost everyone is going to be an unfavorable variance, because very rarely are you going to actually operate in excess. I do on the first day of class, because the first day of class, as you all know, I'll have every chair filled, and I'll have some students in the back of the classroom wanting to add to classes. So I'll have a positive variance there, but normally it's going to be unfavorable. So again, simply put, they pay me $100 per class. I have 50 chairs. That's $2 per chair. I then count the empty chairs, multiply by the $2, and I have my volume variance. And it's going to be unfavorable because I'm not using all the chairs. Next, I'm going to look at the what we call the controllable variance. The controllable variance, let me move this out of the way. Well, ignore that for a minute. Here we go. The controllable variance deals with the variable factory overhead. The variable factory overhead. The variable factory overhead, what we're going to look at here, again, this is kind of review, and we're going to be comparing at the level of production we produced, what would be the actual costs, variable factory overhead. Compare it to that level of production based on our standard pricing. Okay, our standard variable overhead. So we take the variable overhead rate that we have budgeted, multiply it by that volume, find the difference between that number, basically a flexible budget, and the actual cost. So that summarizes really this entire chapter. Next, I'm going to solve some questions.